being
catching
honest
up
about
or
that,
slowing
of course,
down?
is understandable. But
In terms of catching up or slowing down with the eastwards rotation, you've been told multiple times that banking left or banking right is an acceleration. That's how it catches up or slows down. Right. And as far as I know, you're still not aware of what reference frames are.
Well, regardless, I've got the killer scenario now. Doesn't allow you to have any wiggle room. It's a joyriding pilot, right? He's just doing big loops all over the Earth, right? He started with the 500, and he's got to land at where it's 1,000 miles an hour eastward. Generally, he's going west southwest. He's not correcting for anything. He's got no ground path, got no destination, but he's going to land in a clearing where it's twice as fast as where he took off from. So there's no banking. There's no correcting eastward when he's facing westward. And he's slowing down to land at some angle more towards west. How is the plane staying in sync with the eastward rotation that's twice as fast as where he took off then?
All right. So we're going to ignore wind, right? If I'm traveling.
Well, you're saying wind is going to be carrying the plane 1,000 miles an hour eastward as it slows down to land in the opposite direction?
I think the best way for you to understand this is imagine that there's no
atmosphere. How about me understanding it? You don't have an answer. Give me an answer that would actually.
The answer's
I know
been
there
given
isn't
to you
one.
a dozen times.
I'm trolling you. There's no way that the plane can be carried. Big metal tube being carried by wind when wind's going all directions. So you can't say it's the wind anyway.
Don't worry about the
wind. And the atmosphere is not supposed to be in sync.
Don't worry about the wind.
I'm not worried about anything.
It's easier to understand if you ignore the wind.
Absolutely. It's just, the pilot treats it as stationary, lands as stationary. There's a tangential gradient that would require the plane to be in perfect sync for the pilot to treat it as stationary. And there's no mechanism to make the plane in sync. So that ends it.
Okay. So you're starting at like 45 degrees or whatever it is. Whatever the latitude is, you start there, you head south.
There's no ground path. No ground path. No ground path. Just remember that.
What do you mean there's no
ground path? It's a joyriding pilot. No ground path. He's joyriding, right? He's just doing big loops. He even went back to where he started. He thought he forgot something, and then he turns around and goes back. But he's just generally west-southwest, but no aim, no destination, no correcting for anything, no ground path. But he is going to land where it's about 1,000 miles an hour. No destination. He's just going to land in the clearing. Just figures he wants to be around the equator. But any pilot could always do that and treat it as stationary. They never had to worry about correcting for ground path when they first started with the Wright brothers or any of those guys. They just flew and land wherever they wanted. They didn't have to worry about the eastward rotation being faster. You know that.
There's like 30 to 35 pilots that openly say what you just basically just said, and then they say on top of that the Earth is stationary. They don't talk about the shape, right?
Has to be.
Fuck the shape. Like, who cares about the shape?
It's stationary.
They're lying about space and basically everything that involves the creator and why we're here, right? Obviously, shape is a little bit lower on the list, but like, what do you have to say to the 30, 35 different objectively, videoed pilots that say what he just said, and then on top of that, they say that the Earth is stationary. On top of what he just said.
Well, you know what? And it's objective that all pilots treat it as stationary. So even every single pilot's trained that way, right? So every pilot would have to agree they treat it as stationary.
But that's every pilot. They don't correct for curvature. Number one. Number two, they say word for word that they don't. What was the thing that you just said? Perspective. They basically say that
the tangential gradient, the tangential velocity. They don't keep up with the rotation.
Right. There's no Coriolis effect. Exactly. Yeah. Whatever you want to call it, they say basically that word for word, and then they say that the Earth is stationary. That they're not correcting for the Earth that's moving underneath of them, like as if like a helicopter would. Land.
Do you want an answer? Because you asked a question about 2 minutes ago.
He's got it. I've been through this with him for hours and hours, bro. Go ahead, Roohif.
Yeah, right. If you're talking about flat earthers that walk up to the cockpit when they're getting off the plane and say, "Is the Earth flat?" If I'm a pilot, I'm going to nod and smile and get this fucking crazy person off the plane as quickly as possible.
So
that's not at all what's going on, though. They treat it as stationary. Answer how can they treat it as stationary? It's not about asking if the Earth is flat.
until
Come on.
you don't
Well, one
find
thing, let me say
Coriolis
something real
is
quick,
so
guys.
minor.
Hold on. Let me say something real fast. One thing I think you're not taking into consideration is how fast you're traveling. The size of the Earth is so large. If you were traveling super fast, Coriolis would affect the plane, and landing with the spinning, things like that would affect it. But it takes so long to go from down south or up north to the equator that change in
Like, we
gentle
get it, you're 4
velocity
times
doesn't
Jazz,
really
it's
come
only
into play
21
because you're
meters.
going so slow compared to the size of the Earth. You're not taking that
Yeah,
into
but
consideration.
I
Well,
don't,
then you got
I
to
don't
lead
think
the
I don't
nugget.
think you heard the scenario. The scenario is that it's no ground path, right? This is a joyriding pilot. He's starting with a 500-mile-per-hour conservative momentum. He's doing big loops all over the Earth. Eventually, he's going to be somewhere around the equator that's going faster. He's got no path, no destination, just a
But how
clearing. He's
long
going
does
to
it
fly
take him
somewhere.
to do that? And
It doesn't matter. It's
that
just
very
joyriding.
slowness, yes, it
He's
does. That very
joyriding.
slowness is what allows him to match what you're talking about.
No,
Because where the Earth would be spinning, you'd be traveling faster at the equator compared to north or south of it. And as you head towards the equator or you head away from the equator, it takes hours and hours. You're traveling
yeah,
slow compared to the size of the Earth. That gives it
but
time
the
to
reason I
catch up
clarified.
as you go. It's
Okay,
not
but just
like you're
real quick, the
whipping
reason
around
I
the Earth
wait, hold
at
on,
near light
don't
Farmed
speed.
monologue. You have to know the
animal.
scenario. The reason I
Farmed
Sorry,
clarified,
Roohif, I'll let you
the
continue.
reason I
animal.
clarified is
You're
that
a farmed animal. Do you
hold on,
hear
Wolfie,
me?
What
real
does
quick.
that mean?
You're
Can you
a
explain what that means?
farmed animal.
Please,
Objectively,
Wolfie, real
according
quick.
to the WHO, you aren't even a human anymore by definition. Get fucked.
Hey,
Well,
real
fuck
quick,
you.
do you leave? Anyway, so yeah, the reason I clarify is that there is no ground path, so he's not correcting for anything, and he wouldn't be trying to catch up to the Earth anyway. Pilot doesn't have any kind of recognition of the rotation of the Earth, right? It's a joyriding pilot. He's doing big, huge loops over many tangential velocities. He's just going to land wherever. He doesn't have to worry about the spin being faster at the equator. He treats it as stationary no matter what. So making it a bigger Earth in this scenario doesn't help your argument, especially because I make it without a ground path, no destination. So there's nothing to correct for.
But if there's no path, then he's not going anywhere. Like he has to get there.
No,
Gets there by
he's just
luck, right?
flying, having fun. He's just having fun, but he's going west southwest generally.
Okay. I think for you to assess that situation, you need to understand the basic situation first, which you clearly don't.
Well, it could be like an emergency situation, right? He had to do like an emergency landing, right? And he doesn't know where he's going to land, but he's going to find somewhere to land.
Okay.
But he has no destination. Then it's the same thing, right?
Right. But without understanding the basic scenario, like just heading straight south, why make it more complex when you don't understand the simple one?
Oh yeah, right. Like okay, so yeah, what's this in your little rule book? Try to point it at the person that's making it difficult for me to answer, and act like he doesn't understand something when I can't even answer what he's asking. Come on, Roohif. We've been through this too many times. Those things don't work on me. Don't gaslight me. Just answer the question. What keeps the
Just
plane in
turning
sync
left.
when it's faster where he's landing and he's treating it as stationary and there's no destination to correct for and there's no ground path? What would keep
Turning
the plane in
left.
sync? Because that's a
Turning
very
left or right
probable and
is an
it
acceleration.
doesn't make any difference. He's going all over the place. He's doing big
Turning
loops.
left and
So if he's
right
doing big
is an
loops,
acceleration.
let me ask you this: when he's doing those big loops, at any point, regardless of the landing that he's not going to be able to make, at any point is the plane out of sync with the rotation of the Earth at all? At any point during this flight, he's going
If
1,000
he's
miles
out
an
of
hour, maybe.
sync,
Yeah.
if
Could
you're
the
heading
plane
south,
ever be out of
oh,
sync?
Jesus, Dave.
Could the plane ever be at all out of sync? Is the question. Could the plane
Right.
ever not be in
moving
perfect
anywhere.
sync with
You
the
keep
rotation?
talking. Why do you keep talking?
I just wanted.
after
This
you
is a
ask
question I really want answered. Could the plane ever be at all out of sync with the eastward rotation? And if
Right.
it is, why
When
didn't you just take
oh,
a
Jesus.
camera
Every single
and
time
you
you
could
ask a
prove?
question, you keep talking. Why do you do that?
This is an idea for you. You could prove the Earth spins because he could just have to get out of sync and then show the Earth spinning left to right or right to left under his north or south headed plane. Then you could actually see the rotation. If he could just be a little
Have
bit
you
out of
finished a
sync.
question? Have you finished a question?
No question. I'm just giving you some advice. You could just prove the Earth's spins by doing this.
Okay, let's say you're heading south at 400 meters per 200 meters per second, right? That's you're heading south at 200 meters per second, and eventually you get to where the ground is moving 205 meters per second. What is the pilot going to do to keep on his path?
There's no path. Remember, you can't include a path. That's the reason I make
you
it.
can't have a destination without a path. You can't have a destination.
You can't even imagine it. You can't imagine it without the path or the destination because you know it takes away your crutch, right? A pilot can
if you're
just fly wherever he wants. A pilot, he can land wherever he wants. He's finding a clearing. There's no destination. There's no ground path. He's not correcting for anything, but he's always going to be able to treat it stationary because the Earth is stationary. It's the only way it works.
He's out of sync. He's out of sync by 5 meters per second. He's going to land somewhere to the west.
Oh, wait, so if he's out of sync, then that's perfect. As soon as he's out of sync, he just needs to take a camera and show that the Earth is spinning eastward at a different rate than his plane is, and you could prove your rotation.
Yeah, he's just moving to the right. Like he's just got a westward velocity. How's taking a video going to prove anything?
Well, no, you said he's out of sync, right? That means he's going north or south, and the Earth is actually rotating left to right or right to left underneath his plane in a perpendicular direction. Because that would happen.
Right. What's that going to look like?
Often.
What's it going to look
like? It's going to look like the Earth is moving 15 degrees in a rotation. It's going to probably even be, a little bit bulbous, if you like. And the pilot is going to show that
to the right.
He's going forward, and the Earth is spinning perpendicular underneath him. And then you'd have your ball, but that would have been done by now.
He's moving a little bit west. It's going to look like he's moving a little bit west.
Doesn't matter what he looks like. I'm talking about you have cameras all over the bottom of this.
What?
You can say it looks like something to you, but you would definitely be able to single out that it's Earth rotation and not the plane movement with cameras pointed every direction. Well, maybe you couldn't, but there'd be plenty of competent people to show that the plane's moving northward, and then the Earth's rotation is going west, west to east underneath the plane.
Coriolis effect is hugely dependent on speed. If you go very slow around a spinning ball, the Coriolis effect is nowhere near, especially if you're on a powered plane, as what it would be as if you was whipping around the ball. And in your mind, you're picturing a plane that is doing all these circles super fast from the equator down to the South Pole, back up to the equator in like a few seconds. That's not how it works. The planes fly so slow compared to the size of the Earth that they have all sorts of time to correct and keep on their destination path that they're traveling.
I'm not talking about Coriolis.
Even if they're going in circles, you're not considering the size of the globe and how slow the plane flies compared to that size. You're not taking that into account.
Well, no, you haven't heard me talk about this. I'm not talking about Coriolis.
I've heard you talk about it like 1,000 times.
I'm agreeing that a Coriolis would be way less than the winds anyway. So you wouldn't be able to tell if it's Coriolis or winds. So Coriolis is out the window. That's not even a part of this.
You just
the fact of the matter is that the ground would be moving twice as fast as where the plane took off from. Like in what? You couldn't tell the difference.
You literally just said a minute ago that you could tell the difference by video out the plane, right?
I'm not conflating Coriolis in this argument any longer. Coriolis, if you want to say it's just way less of an effect than the winds would be, because you're correcting for your paths, then that would make sense.
He will win an election if they want him to. Otherwise,
they can't fly the plane backwards.
Let me say this then. Let me say this real quick. It's just like if you take a big giant fan and you blow it straight onto an airplane. The airplane could fly sitting still over the ground if it had a huge fan blowing air across it. Okay, if you move that fan backwards, the plane could actually fly moving backwards over the ground if you had a huge fan staying in front of it blowing air across its wings. That's all that's going on the Earth. The plane is going backwards if you're on a different reference frame. If you're in space looking down at the planet, that plane would be moving backwards as the Earth rotated if it was flying what would it be, east, it would be moving backwards from your vantage point. But
it would seem like
it's
it, yeah.
simply the fact that the plane is flying through the air, no matter if the Earth is rotating or not. From that reference frame, you're flying forwards, and it doesn't matter the rotation of the Earth.
Well, it really would matter because in this scenario, there's no correction for any path, right? And he is taking off at a 500-mile-per-hour conserved momentum that you can keep all of it. It wouldn't stay with the plane that eastward tangential velocity of 500 miles per hour. But if you can keep it all, you have to be going twice as fast eastward to land on the surface as if it's stationary around the equator. And there's no ground path, and he's going to do an emergency landing or whatever you want to call it. He's got no destination, but he'll definitely be able to treat it as stationary. And the plane has no mechanism to make it go backwards or sideways or whatever angle it needs to be going to be in such perfect sync with the rotation that the pilot can just assume to treat it as stationary. I mean, I'm not asking you for an answer that I think you have. I'm just showing you there is no answer, and you've done a good job of making that clear to everybody else.
Oh, I'm up to level 2, people.
This one really breaks the globe, guys. I don't know why everybody's not just saying this all the time until they stop talking about spinning balls, because they
I've got a
really,
question for
I've
you then.
never had an answer to anything that's even close to possible. Not that I think there is one. It just breaks the ball.
Do you agree with this statement? The Earth is a spinning reference frame, therefore the atmosphere is stationary.
Nope.
You don't? Very good. You've progressed.
I don't know why
in
you're
the
saying that's
last
very
5
good.
years.
It's not spinning, right? The Earth's not spinning to begin with.
No.
And
According to
the
the
claim
globe
on the
model,
globe
right?
side is that the weather patterns are caused by the atmosphere not being in sync or whatever, even though we know it's just pressure and heat. It has nothing to do with rotation, but they don't try to claim that there's any kind of perfect lockstep atmosphere. Wind's going all directions anyway, so it already kills that idea. So you don't have any argument. You don't have no argument to say that air is going to make you think.
Right. According to, this is about reference frames, right? According to the globe model, is this correct in your understanding that the Earth is the rotating reference frame and the atmosphere, ignoring wind, is the inertial reference frame?
The inertial and which one's the non-inertial? The Earth?
Yeah.
Inertial and non-inertial?
Yeah.
Sure. Why
So
not?
that makes, okay. That's retarded.
Oh, so you're saying it's one reference frame, not two?
I don't think you understand what a reference frame is.
No. I'm asking you a question now. Are you saying it's only one reference frame, or are you saying there's two separate reference frames we're dealing with?
No, it's definitely, two. Yeah, at least two.
Two. Okay, then we're in agreement.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
Oh, I don't know. Hold on. This is the last question I'll ask for you, because I know you don't have anything on this. One last one, Roohif, and I think I've asked you this before, but I want your honest answer again. What would be the difference in how you would train a pilot to fly and land on a stationary level Earth compared to how you would train a pilot to fly and land on a rotating oblate spheroid?
Yeah, the only difference would be flight paths.
Why would the flight paths be different?
Or Great Circle versus whatever your map is.
Oh, there wouldn't be any kind of leading the target type stuff?
No.
Why not?
Because it's a minuscule force.
It's not about the force, it's about the distance. If you're headed towards a city that's moving 1,000 miles an hour, and you're starting out towards the pole where it's only 200 miles per hour eastward, how are you going to be able to catch up to that city without making the path longer? You'd have to chase the target. You can't just fly at point A to point B when the city you're going to is, according to the globe model, literally moving eastward much faster than you are starting out.
Yeah, but so is your plane when you start, right?
No, it's only moving 200. See, in that graph I just put in there, the tangential velocity towards the pole would be only 100 miles an hour eastward. but the city, the destination city is moving at 1,000 miles an hour, so it would be much further away if it just was stationary and you're flying point A to B, like we know pilots do. Totally different distance.
Like I said before, if you can't understand the basics of it, there's
Not
no
about
chance
me
you
not
understand it
understanding.
complex.
Definitely not. Just claiming I don't understand is not going to work any longer. Not, I mean,
Okay,
it never
it's-
did, but you can just, I don't know if it helps you, but it doesn't help your argument.
Right. So I'm starting south, and I'm starting with a 500 mile per hour tangential speed. Right? I'm just heading south, nothing complex, and I have to get to the equator. Right. If I encounter ground underneath me as I head south that's traveling faster, what is the pilot going to do to correct his course?
You're going to go, oh my God, the earth is fucking spinning. I'm going to die. Holy shit, how am I going to land on that earth spinning? I can't make the plane go eastward when I only am going forward. What if the runway is facing west, southwest? How am I going to make the plane go backwards at an angle in perfect sync with the surface that I'm treating as stationary? Holy shit, that's what the pilot would say. He would freak the fuck out because that never happens. The reason it never happens is because it's stationary.
Again, assuming no wind, the pilot would drift to the right. So guess what he would do?
Wait, he would drift? Why would the pilot drift?
Well, assuming no wind, then Coriolis would move him to the right.
Coriolis?
Yes.
That's what Coriolis is. It's the change of tangential velocity as you go from south to north or north to south.
Yeah, you're saying pilots should be able to see the eastward rotation being out of sync with
the
the plane's
size of the
eastward
globe
rotation?
compared to the speed that they travel means that
he
the change is so slow and
it.
so small that it's easy to correct for because you're not traveling very fast compared to the size of the globe.
You didn't hear what Roohif said. He said the pilot sees the Earth. He said the pilot sees he's out of sync with the Earth. What's he going to do? So that's the different
He's
scenario.
going to drift to the right. Like this is ignoring wind, right? He's going to drift to the right of his track. So what is he going to do?
You think that the pilot ever has to try to make his plane in sync with a moving surface? Is that what you're claiming?
He follows a ground track.
No ground track in my scenario. He's just joyriding. There's no ground track to correct for.
Right.
But you got to be going faster eastward. And there's absolutely no way to answer that because that could happen any day of the week. They would have to be trained, even if you think the ground path is what makes the plane go faster, which it wouldn't. Even if you thought that,
the basic
they would be trained in case of an emergency to be able to be in sync no matter what.
Joyride. Ow, fuck.
Abe, does anything get you fired up more than this conversation about planes?
Well, this argument should have ended it years ago, right? Think about being in this conversation years, right? And this one ends it, but people act like that's like refraction is important to talk about still.
I mean, everyone has their topic. I'm just curious why planes is the one for you.
Because there is no answer for this. The pilot, every pilot,
except for the one you've been given,
is taught to treat the Earth as stationary, right? So it's a physical, mechanical thing that everyone's had an experience with just about. They're in a plane. They know the Earth's not spinning eastward separately from the plane because that would cause all kinds of calculated problems that no pilot could ever even deal with. I mean, even if he was told that's the scenario, he would never even be able to deal with it. So it ends it so emphatically.
Or you don't understand it. That's the other possibility.
It's not just a matter of interpretation like refraction or some of these other things. But I'm done. I know
these are simple concepts.
Yeah, you want to make it simple for people that are understanding.
You don't understand it yet.
You know how simple it is? The pilot treats the Earth as stationary because it's stationary. That's how simple it is. But you want to make it, okay, it's actually, the Earth is moving and it's the same thing, which doesn't work for any scenario. You know that. You can't have the Earth moving and have the pilot just treating it as stationary. It's that easy. That's why I get frustrated and amped to make that point that other people aren't like, oh, well, then it's over.
The other option is he treats it as stationary because treating it as rotating adds unnecessary complexity.
Unnecessary because it's not rotating. That's the only reason, right?
Oh, gee.
Well, why would it be unnecessary?
What wind? How are you meant to
If it's
distinguish
moving,
between Coriolis and wind?
there would be necessary things to account for. That's all.
Just not. Anyway.
This is what makes me think you know better, Roohif. You must know better.
Let's talk about the celestial theodolite. Yes.
Oh,
please.
sorry, I'm playing Balatro. Motherboy, no, Ms. Moss.